Hey folks, Sean here, and in this episode, what I want to talk to you about is another advantage of building a solution to your own problem, which is what the B2B SaaS product that I'm building and giving you essentially daily updates on is for me. And that's my podcast show notes application. Now, the reason why I say I'm building that for me or solving my own problem is because I also have a podcasting agency, which is something that I had first. And the podcasting agency is a service-based business that builds podcasts around businesses, and it allows them to use it for new business development, content marketing, a bunch of things that are important for growing a business. Now, at the podcast agency, we do all things related to the podcast. One of those things, which just so happened to be the bottleneck of our process, was creating the show notes from a particular podcast episode. We did it for our own show, and we obviously did it for our clients as well. It took a lot of time and was manually labor intensive, error prone, right? All the things that shoot something to the top of a list of problems in terms of, can we put some tech or some automation to this or create a better solution that alleviates some of those problems? And that's what my podcast show notes, B2B SaaS, ultimately became. And I'm building it and to sell it to businesses like my podcast agency. So that's the target market. I am my own target market. This is by far, I think, one of the biggest things you can do to increase your odds of success in B2B SaaS is building a solution around a problem that you personally have, right? And since we're talking B2B, obviously that means for a business of yours or a business that you work in, whatever. As long as you're selling to a business, that is an important factor as well too for a lot of what I talk about. Now, one of the reasons I want to talk about today in terms of why I feel like this is such a key advantage is because you know everything about the problem space. You've got so much context relatively naturally, as opposed to if you were to try to build a solution for a business you don't intimately understand or haven't built, for example. You're going to have to invest considerably more time and effort to get to where you would need to be in terms of where you already are for a business you intimately understand. Like for me, podcasting agencies. Like, for example, this week, my team, who's regularly using my tool now, is consistently providing me with feedback in terms of what else they would like to see the product do, what else it can help them with. That's just like built-in customer base right off the bat that I have direct access to and can constantly ask follow-up questions in terms of greater context I want to understand around any ideas I might have to vet them against them in terms of, hey, would this help? Plus any ideas they're coming up with or things that they're reporting that are what they're considering to be problems they need solved beyond what my tool can already do. And one of the things this week was related to the file naming and being able to find episodes as organized in my B2B SaaS application. I had somewhat of an idea that I thought that would come up, but it hasn't yet, so I haven't prioritized it. But now that it has, I can prioritize that for development because it's a step that's slowing my team down. More than likely, my other customers are having some of the same concerns. As such, prioritizing this feature is going to provide them with value too. But if I really wanted to know more, I can go to them as well. So it's a great, basically built-in, almost like customer base or focus group or whatever that you have direct access to if you're building a solution for your own potential business or a business that you know intimately well. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to own an underlying business for which you're building a SaaS application for. Many of us, and a lot of the people that I work with as a B2B SaaS coach, are working full-time somewhere in industry doing something. It doesn't really matter what it is. You could be in sports or finance or restaurant industry, whatever. But if you have a knack for eliminating bottlenecks, solving problems with technology, and you have an interest in building a B2B SaaS application, you can do this research with the business that you currently work for, which is essentially the same thing that I'm doing because you have access to a bunch of people that manage the operation, right? Probably up to and including a business owner or operator, depending on the size and scale of the business in which you work. But there are problems all around us, and we take that piece for granted because it might be monotonous, boring, whatever. It might be part of our routine. We may just look at it sometimes as a paycheck. So if that's not your passion, I understand in terms of like what you're expected to do while you're working there or doing that work. But more than likely, you work in that industry because it attracted you for some reason. which probably means that you have some level of interest still with regard to either that company, that business, that industry, whatever, something about it. And if you have an interest in this content that I'm regularly producing in terms of how to build a successful B2B SaaS business, then you have a unique opportunity that you may not even realize. Start searching for and identifying the problems that are all around you, and then testing which ones are the biggest pain points for the people that you work with. Try to see what you can do to understand what the priority is in terms of what needle needs to be moved, in what direction, how significantly, which bottlenecks are slowing the process down, and you then have access to everything that I just described. But you didn't actually have to build the underlying business. So if you're working a job like that now, more than likely you can think about how to build a B2B SaaS application that's a better solution for problems that exist everywhere around you in terms of the experience that you're having on a daily basis right now based on the work that you do.